What's going on, guys? Julian here, back with another video. For today's video, I have a very special guest with me, Jib, right over here.
Yo, what's good, everybody? Thank you to Julian for having me on the channel. My name is JibYGO, but people just call me Jib. I'm a competitive content creator, just like Julian here. A little less accolades, but I'm trying my best. Definitely make sure to check me out on twitch.tv/Jib_YGO. Same thing here on YouTube.
Yeah, I'll have all that in the description. You guys make sure to check them out. They say me and Jib are like the upcoming goats. So just watch out for that. A little dynamic duo of goats over here. That's all I'm saying. But yeah, for today's video, we're gonna actually be looking at the new Genesis format. Very interesting format. I know it's been out for like almost a week now, and there's already been like a ban list, quote unquote. So that's something to look forward to. And I know Jib was pretty excited about this because I know Jib's decent at deck building, and this is kind of a deck building challenge kind of format. So yeah, what are your thoughts on it, Jib?
Yeah, I think the format is really interesting. So for those who don't know the basic premise of Genesis, this is Konami's attempt at a way of having an actual alternative format. You know that they've tried different things like Rivalry of Warlords at events. They've tried Time Wizard, but those all like kind of gravitated towards a small like subsection of the player base. This is, I think, their attempt to get new and old players in together, mainly through the unbanning of pretty much every Yu-Gi-Oh card and the simplifying of the game by removing pendulums and links completely from this game mode. So it has the basic old Master Rule 2 field where it's like 5 monster zones, 5 back row zones, and that's it. And it's limited up to Xyz monsters, and every card is unbanned. The gimmick of the format is that now instead of cards being banned, every card has a point value, which can range from 0 to, it seems, 100. And you are awarded 100 points per main extra inside in order to build the deck, which might seem like a lot, but once you start adding cards that actually have points onto your list, that like tallies up very quickly. So technically, you have the opportunity to play any of your favorite banned cards in your deck, but they will, in a lot of cases, cost points. So that's the main thing about this format. And I think it's a really neat idea in order to try to get more people to play the games.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is something like I've thought about. I'd never had like this specific like condensed idea that they put together in mind, but I always thought about like it'd be so cool if you just some of the banned cards like they're only banned because they're like in specific decks they do stupid stuff. I thought it'd be so
Yeah.
cool if they were allowed like only banned with those specific decks, and I was always like that's such a hard like concept to bring together, but they actually ended up doing that.
Yeah, it's an interesting concept because it exists. It actually, I don't know how much you know about other TCGs, but that concept exists in other games. Like for instance, in a game like Vanguard, like in certain decks, you're not allowed to play certain cards. Like certain
Oh,
cards are only banned in certain decks. So it stops problematic combinations that have arisen in whatever metagame that they're in. I only know that because my friend plays Vanguard. I played it one time and he was explaining the game to me. So in order to try to do that, you see a lot of cards that are like crazy in Yu-Gi-Oh cost like 100 points, and then the card that they usually combo it costs 1 point, and it seems odd to have one worth 100 and one worth one, but it makes it so that those two cards can never be in the same deck if all you have is 100 points in order to work with. And then we see slightly less like FTK-ish cards, but problematic cards having large amounts of points that they cause or cost, excuse me. Like say for instance, a card like Maxi, like one copy costs 50 points. So if you want to play 2 copies of Maxi, you can never play three. But if you want to play 2 copies of Maxi, that's all your 100 points. So you can't have any other card on a list of, as of now, 500 cards that cannot be in your deck if you have Maxi in your deck.
yeah, it's definitely really cool. Pretty much just like a power. It's like I used to play this Dragon Ball Z game as a kid on the Wii, where like you got 15 points to pick, and then Goku's like 8. So if you want
Mm-hmm.
Goku, like you gotta take some bad ones next to it. It's kind of the same
Yeah.
thing. Yeah. Yeah, so Jim, next I wanted to talk to you about what I kind of alluded to before, where they're kind of like having an updating of like the ban list of this format by the point system. Like we've already had one update to the points. Yeah, I know you saw that one hella early actually because I saw it thanks to you. So yeah, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that's really cool. I think that Konami is being very open with the player base. They're really trying to support this format. and keep people interested. They don't want the metas to become stale too quickly because obviously balancing this game in the TCG like is going to be a lot for them. So they're already started using data from even pre-tournaments. Like they're the first Genesis official tournaments are happening this weekend at Lille and Peru. But even pre then, they were looking at what the player base was talking about on social media and then adjusting certain points accordingly. Like the main thing that we saw get adjusted were a lot of cards to go into the Exodia deck, which people have already discovered like a very consistent way to Exodia the opponent, where like you have to draw Droll or bust. And then also the Vanquish All Canine deck, which was pretty much at full power. I guess it was an oversight for them to have Dice Smasher cost 0 points. So like Dice Smasher, triple Holy Sue, triple Joko, like that deck was basically at full power minus Vanquish All Rock. So they adjusted that. They made Holy Sue cost point. They made Joko cost points, and they made Dice Smasher 67 points, which I thought was funny because it's number 67. So yeah, they basically removed the Canine cards from the Vanquisol deck if you want to have non-engine in the Vanquisol deck, which it kind of needs in order to have attributes for Raisin and things of that sort. And it just lowered the overall power. So they're already looking at what the player base is doing and making adjustments to that. So that has a couple of implications. So one, that means that cards that do well in the meta could then become more points in order to force adjustments in the decks without completely killing the decks, which I think is a cool thing because nothing is ever going to be quote unquote banned. It's just the points are just going to be adjusted. So you're never really going to get into a situation where it's like, yo, like in the TCG, Rosin 1-1 and Stake Your Soul 1-1. So you can never play more than one in your deck. So it effectively kills the deck. And all the people that invested in that deck feel really bad. But if you continuously adjust points, like there's still ways for you to find a way to play multiple Stake Your Souls and multiple Raisins and things like that. So unless they make it like 50 points each, but I don't see them doing something like that.
Yeah, no, I don't think so.
They seem to only be doing that to like banned cards or like incredible staple cards and floodgates. You know,
no,
those are the cards being hit in that manner. I also think that it's cool because we can see cards go down in points. Like for instance, before this quote unquote like adjustment, a card like Block Dragon was 40 points for the Adamancipator deck, which was a hefty. That's like almost half your points. Post banless, it went down to 33 points. So that's 7 more points. So for instance, a card that's 7 points is Droll and Lockbird. So now you can fit one more copy of Droll and Lockbird in your Adamancipator deck, where before you couldn't, you know, because Block Dragon was 40 points. So I think that those adjustments are really, really cool. And they've been very open with the player base about like, okay, we're going to be updating this every couple of months and giving reasonings for why they're making these changes on their forum, which is really cool.
Yeah, and also like, first of all, shout out to Christian Urena for getting Vanquish Soul hit like that. He told me he made a Twitter post and now the deck's dead. Thanks. It was already dead in the main TCG format. Anyways, but yeah, I think it's really cool that they're doing these updates, and I think that also like the point system and everything is gonna have an effect on the secondary market of the game. I know you're kind of what's the word? You're kind of
a little bit of a vendor.
A little bit of a vendor, yeah, a little bit of a vendor yourself.
Yep.
So I know you look at those price stocks. So. I know this game, right?
Yeah,
it made some prices go up and down, right? Mostly up, just because cards that it's gonna depend on how much hype there is around this format, right? And for now, there's a lot of hype, right? But I know that Konami put a lot of time into this. They said I think they put like 2 years into this before actually like making any announcements, and so they really want this to thrive. And I think that like we said, they're gonna make regular updates, and so I think the hype will actually not die down too much, which is gonna lead to the second market actually keeping its value.
Yeah, so I think that this announcement is really good for the secondary market for a couple of reasons. One, I think that it will increase the prices of like the Yu-Gi-Oh boxes, which I think are at an all-time low right now. Like we see boxes of Doom of Dimension being under $50, which is really bad for the game if we want to keep the game supported and in stores for people to be able to buy product. But I think that this will definitely help that, because say for instance a deck like Radiant Typhoon, which is coming out in Dude, which probably won't see a lot of play in the TCG, and the cards are pretty cheap in the TCG. In Genesis, it seems like a very promising archetype, and it seems like it could potentially be a top tier archetype in Genesis. And if Genesis is getting supported correctly, which we're going to talk about the tournament system in Genesis that they've already announced, it's going to drive up the demand for these boxes, right? And these archetypes. So I think that that's really good for the secondary market. Just having people want to buy more product because there are more cards in the boxes that are useful in a competitive manner. You know, not just for collectors, because Yu-Gi-Oh collection is for new cards is really bad because we know that every card that's printed pretty much is going to be reprinted at the end of the year in the Megaton. Like that's just a fact. So like
Yeah,
for new
yeah.
cards, the collector's market is kind of not there. So there has to be a uses for the cards in the competitive scene. And when there's only one format, it doesn't leave a lot of wiggle room for decks to be competitive. Like they're either competitive out the box and we already know about it, or they're just thrown to the side. There's very rarely that a deck that was overlooked ends up being a top tier deck. You know, like that hasn't happened since like something like Unchained, right? And that was only like 2 support cards. It wasn't like, okay, this is 10 cards in a set. You know, they were all low rarity except for Yama. Yama was ultra and it ended up being money. But it's very rarely that decks are overlooked like that. So I think that having an alternative competitive format that's lower power than the current format, that allows these other decks in order to shine and be competitive and be worth something for people to invest in, I think is a really good thing.
No, yeah, I definitely agree. Like, I think that just revamping the game, like, literally, this is something, and I know we've mentioned this a few times, but this is something new. This is something exciting, but it's also something competitive. It's something that, it's not just like, oh, like, me and the boys are going to go play it at the side events, like when we scrub out of the YCS. No, this is something that they announced the YCS for. And I know
Yeah.
it's in a while, right? They said it'll be in 2026. But first of all, 2026 is not that far off. And second of all, like they just need, we're one step at a time, right? Like they just announced this. We already have a update, right? And in that time, we could have more updates. They want to make sure the format is solid before we just have like a major event with major prizes that we'll talk about in a second. And yeah, exactly. Like it seems to me, and I know that a lot of the time people don't have positive things to say about Konami, but on this one, I'm gonna have to tip my hat because I actually think they've put in a tremendous amount of effort, and it looks like they're really wanting like the players to benefit from this and enjoy it and have a good time. All right, and so this YCS Jeb, I heard second place is pretty good, so I hope you enjoy that.
Pretty nice. Pretty nice.
Pretty good.
Giant pot of greed, actually.
Oh, that actually, yeah. You tell me about this price support because I honestly haven't looked at it too much, but enlighten me.
Yeah, so they've already announced for YCS it's happening at Lille. I don't know what the prize support is for Lille and Lima, but for YCS Anaheim, they're doing 16-man pods on Saturday. And if you get first or second at the 16-man pods, I don't know how many you're going to fire. You get invited to the invitational on Sunday where you will play out another single elimination tournament, and the winner will get a Shonen Jump Dark End Dragon, and for second place will get a giant pot of greed, and I believe third and fourth will get like mini giant card pot of greeds. So that's like really good prizing. I know that doesn't sound like, for people that don't play Yu-Gi-Oh, like they don't understand like the necessary the value of those cards. But for instance, like SJC Dark End Dragon is a huge card in Edison. Like it's a very important card, and that's the highest rarity, right? Other than an ultra rare Dark End Dragon, which I don't think that they would give away at like a side event. But like a super rare SJC Dark End Dragon goes for like $3,000 to $5,000, and like similarly, a giant pot of greed is similar. It goes for around $3,000 to $5,000. So pretty good pricing for a side event
Yeah, for a
at
side event, that's pretty
Anaheim.
crazy. Yeah, and that is actually pretty insane. Yeah, yeah, and then yeah, like we
So
said,
I'm
the
expecting a
yeah, no,
huge turnout
definitely,
at Anaheim.
definitely. I think I've already have friends in my testing circle saying like they low key might just not play the main event at Anaheim and just
Yeah,
play Genesis, which is crazy, but also like it's a revolutionary way to play the game. Like just brand new
exactly.
format that is still like in game with like current, like you can still play the same cards other than Link and Pendulums,
I
obviously.
feel like
But
that's a big deal. Not to cut you off, but I feel like that's a really big deal, and I feel like a lot of people were like wondering why they got rid of like Edison, even though Edison was doing so well at YCSs. Like it had huge attendance. Like the Edison player. I don't want to say everyone loved it. The Edison players loved it. Like I didn't. I could care less about it. Sorry, Edison players, but I think that this is a way for them to try to capture some of like the nostalgia from older players because they're going to be able to play their older cards while allowing new players in order to have fun. Because like if you don't know about Edison kind of has like a completely different rule set, like ruling wise, to like current Yu-Gi-Oh. Like cards just work differently in
yeah,
Edison while trying to preserve the historic aspect of it. Like chain links, everything kind of works differently in Edison. And Edison card pool is very like capped. That's why you saw Konami trying to like sprinkle in reprints from like Edison and GOAT format and like reprint sets in order to try to like get in order to try to get I don't want to say get money, but yeah, get money from like older players, right? Like get them to
drive up
invest in
sales,
products.
drive up sales,
Drive up sales,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
But in reality, it didn't even work, because if you know something about these Edison players, they consider cards from back then the highest rarity. Like a lot of these cards, like you can't reprint them in a higher rarity. Like if you show someone like a QCR like Charge of the Light Brigade, right? They're not going to be like, oh my God, it's a QCR Charge of the Light Brigade. They don't even know what a QCR is. They're looking for first edition original print secret rare Charge of the Light Brigade. And it's probably more expensive on the secondary market because how old it is in like a near mint condition. So Konami was like, yeah, this is just not working. We got to get rid of this and like create something where like these people will want to buy new products, because the new cards that might not be meta or even meta decks, like the beauty of this is like, say for instance, a deck comes out that is an Xyz deck, right? Like right now it kind of feels different because one of the top decks is Yummy, so it doesn't like translate. So like Yummy is like removed from this format because it's a link deck for the most part, right? With Snatchy. But like say for instance they release like an Xyz deck, like that deck will also be meta in Genesis.
Yep.
Right? Unless it has like some weird hits on it. But like say that the deck comes out and his engine is very low cost. Like that deck will also be meta in Genesis. So people that play Genesis will also want to buy new product. And then again, like we said earlier, like decks like Radiant Typhoon, which might not be meta in TCG, could also potentially be meta in a lower power format. So they'll also want the product, you know? So I think this was a really good marketing scheme, you know?
Yeah, no, overall, like, good marketing scheme, driving up sales, good for the player base. Like, I can already tell everyone's, like I've already said, everyone's super excited about this. And I actually am very excited myself to see, like, where this goes.
Last thing, I was like, oh, the cherry on top, they have to announce that this is going to be at the World Championship. If this is at the World Championship, it's over. This is like, people are going to play this.
Yeah, no,
people are going to play this.
I think that'd be cool. I don't know if they're like, it'll be probably hard for them to include it for next year for Japan, right? Just because like brand new game. Honestly, I don't know anything about like the turnaround on Master Duel, like how quickly they introduced Master Duel and then the World Championship for Master Duel. So, but if they do, that'd be cool. But I think like if they don't for this year, they could definitely have it ready to go by like 2027 for when it's back in the US. But yeah, I think that's gonna conclude our conversation about Genesis format. Thank you, Jib, for being a part of this video, being a part of the channel. Now, you know, hopefully you can be a regular on here. And you know, I'm still waiting for my invite to yours, but that's all good. It's all good. I'll just wait.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. We're gonna get it.
It's all good. It's all good. But yeah,
I don't upload enough.
Okay.
You can be a guest on Twitch.
All right. Yeah. Get me on there. But yeah, guys, make sure to check out Jib, like you said, on Twitch and YouTube. I will have both of the links in the description down below. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and I'll catch you guys next time. Bye-bye.
Peace.